Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies coming at you with more 3D printing goodness. You guys know that I love 3D printing in all its forms, and I will always endeavor to deliver a 3D printed video to you guys each week so you guys can keep up to date with what's going on in the 3D printing world, whether that be with a new machine or a company selling awesome 3D printed models or something like that. So when the company Eldritch Foundry reached out to me and wondering if we would like to work together, showing you guys something that they do off their website, I thought it was a brilliant idea. So for a little bit of explanation what Eldritch Foundry is, it's a fantastic 3D printing company, and the way it works is it allows you to create custom characters to represent miniatures, characters, or whatever you need for D&D or tabletop wargaming or anything like that. So what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a custom figure. And then also, I've also customized another one previously and printed it out, and I'm going to show you what it's like to paint one of those miniatures up in today's video as well. So it should be a fairly interesting video. Before I jump into it, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of my active patrons. You guys are amazing. Without you guys, I could not continue what I'm doing. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. If you're interested in getting involved with that, there are links in the description below. You can check it out for yourself. You get a couple of benefits like a daily updated vlog from me, letting you know what's going on with the channel, and you guys can then chip in, tell me about what kind of videos you would like to see, or kind of direct and change the channel depending on what you need. Also, there's access to a private Discord server where you can hang out with me on a daily basis and talk about your hobby, and I can help you out with all your hobby related questions there, along with 300 other awesome hobbyists who are all very friendly and more than happy to welcome new people into the community. Okay, without further ado, let's jump in and get this awesome model painted. Okay, so this is the knight that I custom printed on design on the Eldritch Foundry's website myself during the week. I ended up printing out 4 copies of him. It's an old habit I had back in the day from when I was using kind of not as good printers. If I had a project that I needed to be done the next day and I was leaving a print on overnight, I couldn't risk coming down the night after or the morning after and finding a failed print. But I'm working with such better 3D printers these days, like the GK2 and the Uniformation and all those kind of ones that don't really fail anymore. So I just keep ending up with spare models. So a bit of a silly thing, but I think I'd rather play it safe and always print out 1 or 2 of the miniatures unless it's a really big print. But I had absolutely no problems with designing or printing this miniature. The files I took were the ones with no supports, and I just auto supported them myself and printed them out. I put him on a square base as he may be used in an old world army. Potentially I'm doing Bretonnians right now, and he is just a big awesome Crusader knight. He would suit that army quite well, and that may be something that I delve into in the future. I think some of the coolest things about these kinds of miniatures, these designs is, I've gone through a couple of D&D campaigns in my day. My most complete D&D campaign I ever did was an entire Curse of Strahd campaign from start to finish. We basically went to every nook and cranny in that campaign and did everything. And obviously our characters developed over the course of the campaign. Things changed, equipment changed, weapons changed, all those kind of bits and pieces. So having a character where, he looks this way at the beginning of the campaign, cool. Okay, you've got a new sword. No, now you're carrying a spear. Okay, jump back on the website, literally pull the sword out of his hand and give him a spear, print, paint, boom. Now you have the correct representation of that miniature once again on the tabletop when you're using for D&D, which I think is just kind of awesome. Now, I'm going with a very simplistic paint job for this miniature, as for most of the stuff I ever do for D&D, because you're doing kind of new hordes, new models, new characters on a weekly basis. It's obviously you can't really dedicate days or dozens of hours to each miniature, so I like really quick and effective ways of getting paint on models and still having them look awesome. It is still my goal in life one day to run a really kind of special and fantastic D&D campaign. Me actually being the dungeon master, I have never been one before. I just think it will be a lot of fun to do, and I would really like to put in a lot of effort when it came to the encounters that people have. Therefore, websites like this, which allow me to kind of engage with that and get the kind of characters I needed printed, I think is really, really cool. But then again, once I said, quick schemes to get them done in time. So as you can see, I sprayed the model black. I gave it a dusting of silver spray after that. And then after that, I threw some red contrast on his cape, black contrast on any of his other fabric showing through, brown for his leather belt and straps to hold on his shield, gold on the gold trim of his helmet and sword, threw some Nuln Oil all over the top of it. And while that's drying, I'm going to show you guys exactly how the Eldritch Foundry's website works. And this is basically it. So this is the kind of standard starting point. You start with a human character, And when I started this, I literally had no idea where I was going to take this. I was just going to show you guys how you can click through all the different drop-down menus and create all these wonderful characters. But then my mind started to race and things started to come together, and I accidentally made a particularly awesome character that I really, really love. He may be getting printed as we speak, and I may paint him in next month's video. So I decided to go for a goblin. I love goblins, by the way. Big Warhammer armies of goblins and Lord of the Rings army of goblins. So I was like, okay, let's do a goblin character. Now, obviously, there's already some preset outfits. You can, like, this is just a riot cop outfit to put on a goblin. Why not? This is an aviator to just throw on a goblin. And there's basically just loads of different preset ones. So if you don't want to go through the hassle of designing your own unique character, then you can, of course, just do that yourself. I, however, am going to delve into the entire process of designing one. So it is the standard goblin. I decided not to change anything about his head, but there is options for different, like bigger noses, littler noses, different ears, shapes. So you can have a couple of different goblins looking a couple of different ways, especially if you want to have a horde of goblins, army of goblins maybe, then perhaps. The model that I'm going to design now, I think would really suit a army. I think an army of these guys is particularly cool. So I started with some chainmail. I put a chainmail vest on him. And pretty much as soon as I put a chainmail vest on him, I was like, I wonder where this is going to go. And I just started to scroll down through his trousers, trying to figure out which one would work. And then I seen these kind of gladiatorial kind of pants, the like frilly skirt thing. Don't know what they're called, do apologize. And as soon as I saw those chainmail and that bottoms, I was like, can I make a Roman legionnaire goblin? Is that something that I can create on this website? I was like, all right, let's go for it. So I found a nice pair of sandals, quite an easy thing to find. I was like, okay, this is going to work. Now, prior to this, I had done no research. I hadn't gone through everything and looked to see if I could do this beforehand. So we are finding out as I go whether or not I can create something that looks kind of like a Roman legionnaire for goblins. I decided to go with some wraps instead of gloves. And I was like, okay, they work. They're kind of cool. Happy enough with those. What else could I do? Obviously, the helmet is going to be one of the most important features. It's obviously a Spartan helmet if you want to be more Spartan-esque, which is really cool. There's gladiatorial style helmets, as if this guy's going to be in the gladiatorial pits. There's so many different helmets available, and they do add to the website constantly with new designs, which I think is pretty cool. There's all the knight helmets that I used for the previous model. Now, they have these more kind of Greek style helmets here. I've always been a sucker for this. Ever since I saw 300 and saw, Achilles running across the sands wearing a helmet like this, I have been beyond in love with that style. So I decided to leave it at that for now. I did actually go back and find an authentic looking Roman helmet. It just didn't look as cool as this, so I decided to leave this as it. Obviously, this is a goblin. This is a fantasy-esque world, so he can have a different style helmet if he so wishes. Now, all I need to do now is try and find a Roman gladius style for this particular miniature. And as I was scrolling down through the hundreds of options for swords, I found this. I was like, okay, yeah, it's a short sword. About right for a gladius. This might work indeed. Let me just scroll through just to see if there is anything that might work better. And then lo and behold, there's actually just a gladius option. So yeah, I got to give him the exact right sword that I wanted to have him. And like I said, I did no previous kind of workshopping to see if I could do this before. We are finding out together how this guy's going to look. So find a perfect gladius. And once I saw a gladius, my guess was there was going to be a Romanesque shield to match it. So I started frantically scrolling through. You saw the 300 Spartan helmet there as well. So if I wanted to, I could have an entire army of Spartan goblins as well. Don't ask me why I would do that, but I mean, why wouldn't I do that? So anyway, so this is the character here. I could have given him a cape as well, and I probably should have. Lots of Roman soldiers did indeed have capes. This is the pose section. So I can literally start clicking on the different poses you can put the model in, trying to find one that would suit the character of this model right as a Roman soldier. There's so many to choose from and so many that would work. And obviously, if you see this pose here, you could reverse it. So you could put the sword in the other hand, the shield in the forehand, and that pose might work better. So you have to think about all this with the idea of you can change lots of things and make it the way you want it to. So I did spend a little bit of time trying to figure out what I think the right pose would be for the gladiator. This one was close, but the shield came up too high and covered his face. So I was like, no. And then the next one is the one I believe I finally fixed on, which is in a striking pose. And I just think it worked so well. His shield is dropping a little bit as he would be. He's in a nice moving forward pose and he's ready to strike someone down with his Gladius. Absolutely beautiful. I picked some flagstones for the base. Thought that's kind of cool. Is there anything that would work a little bit better? And then there was an option for sewers, which is basically kind of like flagstones, just a little bit more kind of wrecked and ruined, which I think suits him down to the ground. Perhaps in this fantasy world, the lowly legionary goblins are sent down into the sewers to fight off all the enemies that live down there. And the noble human or elf centurions get to stay above ground doing all of the nice kind of normal work. With that, we have our finished goblin. And obviously from this point, you can choose to have him pay €25 and they will print him and ship him to your door in a couple of weeks. So you don't have to worry about 3D printing yourself. I myself have many 3D printers, so I just choose the €5 option. Purchase that now, and then I would get an email in about 30 seconds with the downloadable file, throw them onto my 3D printer and get printing. So this as a system for creating characters, I think is pretty special. It's one of those ones where you could honestly spend way more time than you intended to creating dozens of different characters, and you don't have to like commit at all. You can spend all day creating characters and saving them. That does not cost you anything. You can create as many characters as you want. You could spend 5 hours creating 100 different characters if you wanted to, save them all onto your profile, and then only as and when you need them, drop €5 and get them printed, or drop €25 of them printed and shipped to you by them themselves. So I just think it's awesome. So when it comes back to this awesome Crusader-esque knight, I just spent a little bit of time highlighting him. I didn't go into crazy amounts of detail. We just kind of made his shield and cloak a little bit brighter with 2 coats of red. We obviously went in with a bright polished silver and re-highlighted up all of his armor, making sure that pops nice, bright and shiny. The silver paint was also used to touch up all of the gold, so obviously the crossguard of his sword and the kind of bridge of his helmet and the ringlet that goes around the top of his helmet. We added a nice, awesome golden lion transfer sheet to his shield. Very quick and easy step. This is actually taken from a Bretonnian transfer sheet from Warhammer. I think it works a treat. It sits really nicely on top of the red. And when this focused, we have our finished Crusader Knight. This epic kind of clerical hero. I just think is going to be awesome. A character I wouldn't mind playing in a future campaign. I've never played one before. I just think that the righteousness of them would be quite an interesting character to roleplay. And makes making some certain decisions in the game a little bit easier, if not a little bit stubborn, and sometimes causing troubles with the rest of the party. Here's a couple of still images of how he turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed the journey of getting this model created and printed. Let me know in the comments below if you would like to see the Centurion Goblin painted up in next one's video. I think that would be really, really cool. Okay guys, and there we have it, my finished knight. This model didn't even exist this morning. Since then, I have created its design, printed it out, and painted it up. That's kind of an interesting and cool thing. I don't think any other person on the planet has this exact model in this exact pose, carrying this exact equipment. So it's basically a one of a kind. And obviously I used the digital formats, paid €5 to get the file. I can print out as many copies of him as I want. So let's say I'm playing a game like Warhammer Fantasy and I want a unit of Bretonnian foot knights. All I need to do is print this guy out another 19 times, put them on square bases like I did with this guy, rank them up and start playing some games. So I think it's pretty cool. The Roman-esque Centurion Goblin that I made offhand whilst doing the video demo of the website, I absolutely fell in love with. I wish to God that I had printed that out and I painted it up for the video because it turned out way cooler than I ever imagined. I legitimately just wanted to show you guys how the drop-down menus worked, and before I knew what was happening, I was running away with myself creating this little Goblin Centurion, and I love him. Maybe that'll be the one I paint up in next month's video because I really want to see what he looks like. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, ask me any questions you want in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you're not missing all future updates, and make sure you check out Eldritch Foundry, which will of course be linked down in the description. Check it out for yourself and see it as something that is for you. I've been tasked to work with these guys for about 6 months or so there is a bare minimum 5 more videos coming from these guys, and I'm very excited to bring you each and every one of those. And what kind of characters I create off their website for each video, who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Thank you guys so much for sticking around at the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one.